Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, have a give this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow, and perhaps even check out our Patreon.
Today we're looking at a long closed railway, one that's actually of importance to me, to be fair. I'm very local. This is the Longmoor Military Railway.
Most of you will have heard of the Longmoor Military Railway, famous for its blue liveried engines, particularly things like the J94s, and you've got most of them.
Yeah, pretty much all of them in model form.
So this is, your favourite railway?
Yes, I'm a local boy. It's literally 5 minutes from me.
So this is Lizz. This is where one end of the line was, right next door to the national network just over there. Now, the Longmoor Military Railway was something a little bit different to your standard railway because, as the name might suggest, this was owned and operated by the military, and its first and primary purpose wasn't to transport goods, as to be a training exercise.
My favourite training exercise they would frequently do, actually, is you'd come in one day and your teacher, the person training you how to do these things, would say, today you're going to learn how to blow up a railway, and you'd go out and you'd blow up part of the railway. Specifically in a way to make it incredibly difficult to be repaired so that the enemy in war can't get it back up and running.
Bearing in mind, the railway was a big thing, so if you were involved in a conflict, your big thing was to be able to immobilise the railway and stop things from being moved.
And make it very difficult to repair.
Yes.
Which is why it's wonderful when you come in the following day to be told by the same training instructor that today you're going to repair the bit of railway you blew up yesterday. Because
the railway is very important, as you move into your new war zone, it's important to repair the railway so you can use it, which has been immobilised by the forces retreating. In fact, one of the things they had here was a captured German rail wrecker. It's like a plough, wasn't it?
Yes. There's a massive hook on the back of a German wagon that you could pull around and it would tear the sleepers apart and destroy the track.
So it meant that the layout here changed quite regularly as bits were taken apart, rebuilt, blown up, reassembled. In fact, part of the main bit of this was a giant loop. It was quite cool.
It was also for training soldiers on using trains they may not have encountered before, locomotives they would have encountered. There was some American stock here, notably the USA tanks and the S-160s.
The idea was to have training that a crew could go abroad and hop onto a locomotive, a captured locomotive, and put it into use. It was all very clever. So the initial railway started in 1903, but it wasn't at that point the Longmoor Military Railway.
It was the Woolmer Instructional Military Railway.
In 1935, the railway was renamed as the Longmoor Military Railway after the main base that it was serving.
Yes, and then unfortunately on October the 31st, 1969, it ran publicly for the very last time with a large open day.
It wasn't quite the end. There was a preservation attempt made to make this the Longmoor Steam Railway, which had David Shepherd, the guy who owned Black Prince, heavily involved. Sadly though, it just never quite happened, and after 71, that was the end.
But it does live on in movies. It was in over 15 movies, I think, including the St Trinian's Great Train Robbery.
And more famously, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. The little blue steam engine in that was here. More importantly, I've driven that one out in Belgium.
Yes, and many of the LMR locos have been preserved, but that's not too surprising given that over 1,000 locomotives passed through here.
Yeah, and admittedly not all of them ran here, but used the Longmoor Military Railway as just storage. It's an amazing amount of engines who have come in, been on these rails and then moved out. There was even a Ruston 48, and that was legitimately an LMR locomotive. To the best of my knowledge though, it didn't actually do anything. It was just used as a weight for the crane to pick up as part of training exercises. And like, we need to show how to lift a heavy load. Ruston 48.
I'd like to think they used it for something else at some point.
I don't think they did. What's really sad though is this is a hugely well-known and well-loved railway. Everybody knows the classic blue livery with LMR on the side. And there's nothing here. Well, this is the station at Lizz. This was the beginning of one end of the line. And all that's left is an abandoned hut and an abandoned platform, truly unloved, with no signs here talking about the history and how important this railway was. And I find that really sad.
Yeah, there's a few bits in the main station building itself for the National Rail side of things. Yeah, but I mean, it's there, but it's not been looked after for a little while by the looks of it.
And it's just an abandoned platform. It's genuinely sad. So we thought that we're going to do something to help undo this. We're going to restore trains running along the LMR. However, we are going to cheat just a little bit.
Yes, we're dropping into my vast collection of model railways. This is a J94.
More importantly, this is McMurdo number 156, which ran on the LMR. So this is a model of a locomotive that would have actually run through this very station.
But as we know, a locomotive is not a train, so we also have LMR coaches.
So we're going to do this properly. We're going to make a train as it would have been, locomotive, a couple of coaches, and we're going to go lay a bit of railway and run trains along the LMR, which to the best of our knowledge will be the first trains that have run along here since the end in 1971. That's kind of special.
This is very exciting.
It is. Just outside the platform, there is this buffer stop and the last bit of railway that we know of the LMR. As far as we know, this is all that's actually left.
So we thought it appropriate to start running from the actual rails of the LMR.
And with that, the last train to run upon the LMR, at least to our knowledge, departed Liss Station, ready for a run along the trackbed, which is now called the Riverside Walk. Several bridges survive, including this one, Rose Bridge, that we had to cross as we continued along the route. There is a slight problem with our plan to revisit all of the trackbed and return trains to them, and that is, now we've got to this part, behind us it goes back to being MOD land.
We're not allowed there.
Well, technically that's not right. We are allowed there. We can't film there. There's a big sign up there of bylaws, and part of it is we're not allowed to go onto MOD land to do something that makes us money. And as I survive on doing these videos, we can't film going that away.
So I can.
You can go there, we can both go there, and as you, well, yes, you could do on your own channel, because you don't make money out of it, yes, you could do the video.
So for the next stage, we're turning to the LMM satellite, which is broken.
Yeah, so we're going to have to go with Google Maps instead. Shooting videos are normally long days, particularly if you're spending that walking down a long closed railway, and you can feel your energy levels really start to drop, which is why I turn to Holy Energy. And now there's a brand new flavour on the market, Dragon Fruit Dragon, and this has quickly become one of my personal favourites.
And if energy drinks aren't your thing, there's now also iced tea with Darjeeling and honey flavour.
It's really nice. It's become one of my go-to drinks. It's a really pleasant thing to have, and it's full of antitoxins and all good stuff for you.
But on days like today, when you need the energy and you're on the go, the sachets are perfect.
These things are really good. You can take your water with you and choose what flavour you want as you're going along. So I've gone for Raspberry Raptor, which is a favourite of Tom's.
No. Watermelon well, that's the way to go.
This stuff is great when you're on the go. It's just tear, pour, put the lid back on, and then give it a shake.
This is a public service announcement by the LMM Broadcast Corporation. We would like to apologise for the previous twerking. We're so sorry you had to see that. But now back to Holy. Compared to conventional energy drinks, Holy has no sugar, natural flavours and is full of vitamins. So support the people who are supporting us and check out the link in the video description below.
Moving away from where we'd parked up, the railway headed off in a northeasterly direction, crossing along through the MOD land and past Longmoor Military Base itself. But that's not the most impressive thing. As we move further north, we come to this big area of MOD land, and here there was an entire loop, a continuous running. So now you can have your Hornby 00 railway and know that it is entirely prototypical of trains running round in a big circle. A lot of this was also double tracked, and there are mountainous sidings and storage areas scattered around the whole network, including several passing places. And to the north, there was a triangle where the railway continued northward and out of the MOD land. The sad truth of the matter is, so much of the LMR isn't really accessible. It's all over there in the training area. But we are now back on the trackbed itself. This bit then comes all the way through the trees, and it's rather well hidden. There is a footpath just over there. We've stepped maybe 10 metres off to come and stand onto this, and you can see the way it cuts through, and behind me you see it stretching out that way. It's amazing to find this section of it and be able to picture what it would have been like to see one of the blue liveried engines storming its way through the trees. Following the footpath, we come out somewhere around here. The most interesting thing is that where we're standing now is relatively high, and the trackbed is that gap just there in the trees. And whilst today we stood on a brand new roundabout, back in the day the railway went under a crossroads that used to be here, and then continued on the other side, storming uphill to the same level as the road.
It would have sounded amazing.
Oh, wouldn't it just, an austerity working up here?
Yes. And they weren't always particularly light trains behind them either.
No, because that way's going towards the end of the line.
Yeah.
So you've been taking goods for transport.
To continue exploring the rest of the line, we're going to have to jump in the car. So we've just turned onto the old trackbed.
Oh, we're basically on the railway?
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell as well. So looking dead ahead of us, you can see where the railway used to come. And this is one of the saddest things, that if somebody with a lot of money came along to want to relay the railway, so much of it is still kind of there as a trackbed. This bit now, yeah, it's gone.
Oh yeah, I mean they only developed this road 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh really?
Yeah, until then it was still just the trackbed. I mean this whole area has gone through a lot of redevelopment in the last 10 years, but yeah.
It's so weird to find, I mean you see it so often that a road is laid on the foundation of a trackbed because it's already been cleared, it's already been levelled, and makes for a good road, generally nice, soft, gentle curves.
Well, I imagine generally it's going in the direction you'd want a road to go anyway. It's connecting to places.
This is so obvious. This would have been amazing as it wound its way through all of this.
Wouldn't it have just?
So this section here obviously completely gone. There's new housing estates coming up over there as well.
Yep.
And then this goes a little bit more along here. So it's about, what, a half-mile stretch?
About that, yeah.
It's really weird. And it's one of these things that if you didn't know, you'd just be like, oh, that's a nice bit of road. Whereas kind of coming through and doing a bit of digging, it's really weird. It's so weird to think how it's changed. Like, this was a railway.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean, even as a road, it's relatively flat, but think of the small amount of gradient that there would be. This would have been some great chuffing.
Oh, as it came up here, yeah.
Especially if this had have gone preservation or they'd kept some of the LMR locos, like the big 280s, Gordon, the big 210 coming up here would have been just incredible.
Austerity working its way through here.
Oh yeah,
would have been absolutely cracking. It's really an epidemic of how much times have changed that something that used to be a track bed has been ripped up and turned into a road, and shows just how much the train's fallen out of favour in favour of cars.
The railway still follows us around here. In fact, you can see it straight ahead now in the trees.
Oh yeah,
it's not super obvious, but it's there.
You can see where the trees break, yeah.
Yeah. So while we're sat at these lights, if we turned left, that would take us to an industrial estate where the railway terminus used to be. In fact, I think there are still some old railway cottages there.
Hidden away on the edge of an industrial estate is the terminus of the LMR. The railway used to curve in from there, so a train would have come in and at this kind of angle through to the exchange sidings just over there. This then was with the national network. A branch went off that way towards Bentley. It was a really steep curve that came in round here, basically a horseshoe doubling back on itself to enter this exchange sidings. There are a few things that let you know that this was once a railway. For instance, this area is completely level. This definitely was a railway. Whilst the trees and everything have grown up around us, you can see that this obviously was a track bed. Just up there are the railway workers' cottages, with one of them being the old station house, and the road is Old Station Road. These are all what's left of this area to let you know there was once a railway, and it is a crying shame because this would have been an amazing preservation railway. Imagine engines done up in the stunning livery working their way up and down this. It would have been incredible, and what a shame. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing the LMR, or what's left of it, or at least what we can actually show you, which turns out isn't an awful lot of it. And let me know in the comments below if you've enjoyed this video and enjoyed exploring another long lost railway. If you have enjoyed this, how about, I don't know, clicking somewhere over there for when I did an actual one of these over in Belgium, or down there for another one of the videos looking at long lost railways. And with that, well, I'm going to go put this onto a layout and pretend that this is still here, because this would have been phenomenal. And of course, let us know if you enjoyed it, and come do it for yourself. You can find most of this quite easily, and a lot of it is accessible to go for a walk on, so do a bit of railway exploring yourself. Ta-da!